Hello friends! Today I am bringing you something new, even for me. So we're guinea pigs together. You know what these are? Pinto beans. That's right, I'm making some refried beans, but these are not every man's refried beans. They're an unfried refried bean. I recently had dinner at my friend Kim's house and she served us some carnitas, which I've got going in my slow cooker. You can see slow cooker carnitas on my videos. It's probably like a year and a half ago that I made those, but you can check out my recipe of that. But anyways, we had the carnitas and then we had this big pot of what looked like refried beans, and they are pinto beans that were smashed and pureed and silky, but they were not fried. And I was like, these are so good. What do you do? So I'm so excited to share the tricks and hopefully mine will be as good as hers. You never know, it's my first time. But these are just delectable, silky, and no frying in lard involved, which is a pretty good thing. So let's get started with unfried refried beans. Okay, so I mentioned that I start with a bag of pinto beans. These are just regular store-bought pinto beans. It's a pound, 1 pound bag. I bought 2 because I like them that much. I'm gonna want to make multiple batches, but I started with 1 today. So in this bowl, I have a 1 pound bag of refried beans. So there's 2 methods of kind of preparing your beans. You want to soak the beans when you do them raw. And I'm telling you, this is definitely superior than opening a can of beans. So if that's your, you could try making this with just opening cans of beans, but they really don't taste the same for something like this. You can soak them overnight. I just started mine first thing this morning and I'm making them this evening. So these beans have been soaking for about 8 hours. And you can see the water looks pretty cloudy because they've been soaking, and actually they're getting a little bit soft to the touch. But this will help aid in cooking them quicker. I suppose if you have like an Instant Pot, for my friends that use those, they've talked about how you can cook things a lot faster. So follow directions. Ultimately, you want to have 1 pound of dried pinto beans that you have cooked till tender. That's what we're going for. So I'm going to drain off the water. I'm going to get my beans going in a pot, and then they're going to cook and simmer for about 1 to 2 hours. All right, let's get started with that. Hi friends. So 6 cups of water. That's basically I'm just following the package directions on the beans. 6 cups of water with the soaked beans. I'm going to bring it to a boil and then turn it on low and put the lid on and let them cook for 1 to 2 hours until the beans are tender. Super, super important. Do not add any salt when you're cooking beans. You only add the salt at the end. If you add salt to beans when they are trying to cook, it actually makes the beans tough, and you want tender beans. So definitely don't add salt. Little trick from culinary school. All right, see you in a few hours. Okay guys, beans are cooked. So I did mine an hour and a half and I checked them. They started to almost split, and you definitely want to, basically use a spoon, lift them up, pierce your fork through the bean and just see if it just slides right in. You know that these beans, Tucker is excited about the refried beans. You know they're ready to go. So I have mine drained and I'm gonna transfer them to my, Cuisinart is the brand, but my food processor. So if you don't have a food processor, you could perhaps use a blender. I'm gonna work in 2 different batches with this because my food processor isn't the jumbo size. But here's the magic. Cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, and some regular cheese and salt. That is what's going in this. So I just consulted my friend Kim, who I got this recipe from. Thank you, Kim Crispino, you're a magician. She said about a cup of cottage cheese, and I'm not sure if it's per batch or if it's for the whole thing, but she says you just kind of adjust as you go. So I'm starting off with probably about a half cup of that and probably about a 1/4 cup of the Greek yogurt. The yogurt is shockingly amazing with this. It gives it this nice little tang. And then she said some cheddar cheese. I did cheddar and a little Monterey Jack. And if you want a little kick, you could do some spicy salsa in this, whatever you happen to love or have on hand. So it goes on, move this stuff over, gonna give it a pulse. once this all gets blended, I will transfer it back to the pot that I had all my beans cooking in, and then just keep it on warm until I'm ready to serve it. But I will say the food processor is super helpful for this one. If you didn't have one, you could try a blender or a hand blender. You could mash by hand, but this gives it a real velvety, smooth texture. And last but not least, it is now time for salt. Forgot to grab that, so be right back. Okay, and then again, salt, it's just gonna be to taste. So I'm gonna start with probably a teaspoon of salt. I did not add any salt to the beans, like I said, before cooking. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up my second batch and then put it all together in my pot and let it just kind of heat through as the beans kind of cool. And I'll adjust and taste as I go, and I'll let you know what I find out at the end. All right, see you in a little bit. All right. Processed my second batch of beans, added a little bit more of everything to that. I felt like the first one, I added maybe a little bit too much sour cream, so I adjusted it. So the point is, taste as you go. If you're not sure what you're tasting for, just taste for what you like. My friend Kim did not have exact measurements, she had rough estimates. And part of learning to cook, if you're figuring things out still, is what do you like? What does your tongue tell you? That's what I used to say to my kids when they were little. Sporting my kids' schools, by the way, UW, Belmont. Go teams. Okay, test taste time. I'm so excited. I've already test tasted, so I know this is pretty much amazing. But when I took it out of the thing, I popped it back into my pot, heated it through, and you can just let it simmer. So you can make these a few hours ahead and just let them get warmed up. But y'all, I doctored it up mine with some diced red onion, some little bit more cheese, and some cilantro. But you could also do some sour cream. In fact, I am gonna do just a little dollop. Sour cream, and a little bit of salsa. This is like a smoky chipotle salsa. Oh, good does that look? Yes. I can hardly wait. I could just have this for dinner, but I do have the carnitas all ready to roll as well. Okay, here we go. Oh, you guys, who says you need to fry the beans? These unfried, refried beans. So much flavor. Who knew Greek yogurt? That's the thing that my friend who made it, that I got the recipe from, Kim, I was like, what is that tang? And she's like, Greek yogurt, like a little special secret. I got her permission to share this with y'all, by the way. You've got to make these. They are so good. And honestly, aside from soaking your beans and then having to let them cook on the stovetop, which is a little bit time consuming of just the fact that you have to think ahead, aside from that, it makes a big batch, and beans like this, they freeze really, really well. So Scott and I clearly will have beans for days, but I'm gonna freeze some of these and it'll be great. So then we'll have some for later on. So can't say enough about how delicious these are. Very velvety, non-greasy. You can feel good about eating these. Add tons of cheese more if you want it really cheesy, but they taste good with just the small amounts. As always, recipe is below this video. Click on the little arrow and you can see all the info with all the rough quantities of what I did, and tune in next week on Wednesday, 5:30 Pacific for a new video. All right, delight at the bite. Subscribe, hit the share button, tell your friends that I'm here. Thank you so much for watching. It is my joy to bring you delightful bites like unfried refried beans. All right, see you next week. Bye.